Hello. This is the second movie about advanced squad leader counters created by the Broken Ground design that I received courtesy of the Alan Findlay of the Broken Ground. This is the second batch of these counters. The previous one contained infantry units, and now we have tanks. And these are not ordinary tanks. This is absolutely awesome, beautiful and stunning French tanks. You may be surprised, but I have to say that of all these tanks of the Second World War, I adore French tanks the most. Why? Because they were simply beautiful. They weren't the best, they weren't the most effective, they never won many battles, but they were simply beautiful. I just love the design of the French tanks more than the German tanks, British tanks, Russian tanks, and all the other tanks. And I'm very happy because of these counters. Also, because a French expansion of the Advanced Squad Leader named Croix de Guerre is out of print and since a long time. And if you want to get it, you have to pay crazy money on the eBay also. So, if you want to have French tanks, and if you for your scenarios, there are two ways. First, look for the Croix de Guerre and pay some crazy money for that, or these ones. So, take a closer look at this. This batch, you may see here, it doesn't look good. It looks kind of broken, but it is because my postman failed his task check while pushing these counters into my post box. So, let's zoom in a little, or maybe not a little, to look. We have almost all the kinds of the French armored fighting vehicles used in the 1940 campaign. There are no counters for my most beloved French tanks, FCM-2C. These were extra heavy tanks with 5 turrets, about 10 men crew, and so long, but it is important to state that none of them saw action. They were all destroyed by the Stukas during the transport. So it is logical that we don't have counters for this. But let's take a look of what we have here. First war tanks Renault 17, then the number of the French light tanks AMR 34, 35, here they go on. Now you can see we have here the most popular of the French tanks during 1940 campaign, Renault 40 and Renault 35 and Hotchkiss 40. These were basically almost the same tank if you would look at the photos of them, but while Renault 35 was infantry tank, then Hotchkiss was cavalry tank. So you may see the difference in their movement points. Now let's move to the other part. Here we have a Soma 35, critically acclaimed as the best French tank of the 1940 campaign, well armed, quite fast and quite effective in combat. Then another of my favorites, Charles B1B. Another of the reasons I like French tanks because they had some really nice while crazy design. This one has 75 cannon in its hull and 47 cannon in its turret, along with machine guns. It was literally some kind of moving bunker, not quite fast, but well armored and well armed as well. Some of these were really problem for the German tanks, since most of the German tanks hadn't cannons strong enough to break its front armor. And now we have some of the French armored cars. In general, French armored cars were very effective, and even the German army used many of them during the further campaigns. As you may see, there are no French trucks and so on. This batch contains armored fighting vehicles only. Now, I guess you would be interested in some comparison of the broken ground counters and the other kind of the counters of the Advanced Squad Leader. So let's make some comparison. Here we have Multiman Publishing counter of the latest edition of the Beyond Valor core module, and a Polish tank from the Poland in Flames. It was released by the Bounding Fire design. Production. So, where are the main differences? As you may see, silhouette of the tank in the broken ground design is much smaller. But it is in color, just like in the broken ground, but not in the Multiman. Name of the tank is in the upper part of the counter, while in the other two we have next to the icon. I think that the name is quite small and less visible than here or there. What is bigger? Movement ability. The number of the movement point of the tank is much bigger here than here or even here. Same goes to the cannon. Number of the cannon is definitely bigger than here or there. Same goes to the armor factors. They are bigger and better visible. But machine guns are smaller. I guess they are at last smaller than in the Bounding Fire, and a little bigger than in the Multiman counter. Now let's take a look on the back of the counters. As you may see, the biggest difference is that the broken ground has color silhouette of the destroyed tank, while Multiman and Bounding Fire had black and white. All the informations here are quite bigger when it comes to the front, and the letters are bold, which I think makes everything much more visible and better. Well, that would be when it comes to the basic comparison. So let's make some summary. I think that these counters are nice. They are definitely a step forward, and they are showing the way that Multiman, I think, should go someday. First, they have definitely a better look than the original Advanced Squad Leader counters. Some important informations that we are using often in the game, like movement ability or size of the gun, are bigger and better visible, so you don't have to use magnifying glass to check them, especially if you compare with here. The only thing that MMP does better is the name of the tank, but I'm not quite sure if it's really important during the game. It is important when we are checking for the counter, but during the game it's not something you would like to check every time you are using the counter. So I think if I would have to choose between multi-man and broken ground, I would choose broken ground. Also, if you like to have French counters, for now you have a little choice. So I have to say that I'm very satisfied of these counters. Needless to say that my love for the French tanks is still strong, and I'm very happy that I will be able to use all these counters in my games, since I finally can print some of the ASL scenarios that contains tanks. So that's all. I hope this material allowed you to have a closer look on these counters, and if you like this, you know where to ask. Thank you.